Hello there, my name is Ismas and welcome to Top Channel 101. So today we're going to be doing something different from what we have been doing on my channel, which has been Blender tutorials. I'm getting into game development, and the game engine of my choice I've chosen is Unreal Engine. As we have seen in the past, I've tried to upload some tutorials about Unreal Engine, and yeah, I'm getting into it quite a lot because what I do for a living, part of what I do for a living is selling 3D models, and I want to get into game assets, and you can't just be making game assets without knowing how they work. So that's why I'm getting into this. And if you are someone who is interested in this, so this is my way of sharing my journey through it. Just learning Unreal, I've got ahead that I can do a simple project then there, but I'll also be advancing as I'm watching different tutorials and learning more. So if you are just learning Blender, I would also encourage you to learn this tutorial series because just learning a 3D program, for the case of learning it, I won't make it easy for you to learn. You need to have a goal in mind. Maybe you're learning 3D animation, you're learning a 3D program like Blender because you want to make a film, or you want to enter visual effects, or you want to make a game or something like that. Because if you're just learning for the case of learning, you're going to end up learning a lot of things that you may never use in the future. So that's why you need to have a goal in mind. If it's to do feature films, if it is to do visual effects, or to just make animation or games, it will help you focus on the parts of Blender that are necessary for that area. So, and that's what we're going to be doing. So if you're trying to learn Blender for game development, this is a very good start for you because this is going to be focused mainly on game development using Unreal Engine, which is a very easy and very one of the most popular game engine. Is the one powering Fortnite, which is the top video game right now. Let's get into it. So what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to try and make a jet fighter kind of game. Let me first go here. I'll show you the kind of game that I want to develop. So there is a website called miniclip.com, and it has a bunch of simple video games that you can look at and see an example of what you may want to do. So I think it's called a jet fighting something. Jet fighting, flying fighting. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I think it's this, jet velocity. Something simple like this. Flash needs to be enabled to play. There's an option for that. Anyway, as that is loading, let's go into Blender and model a spaceship that we're going to use in Unreal. So as usual, I'll just turn on my shortcuts here. We're going to make something very simple, as just a representation of what we want. We're not going to make too much complicated stuff here. So I'm also going to switch on random colors and cavity just to make my view look nice. Let me scale this down the Z-axis, and I can also add a loop here. Control R, select this face, delete those vertices, and go to the modifiers and turn on the mirror modifier so that I can work on the other side, this side, and the mirror modifier should do the rest. So we're just going to make a very simple shape. Maybe select these, push them like this. Maybe let's extrude these like this. Now this, let me see if I add a loop here. I can merge these to this. No, sorry, I can just delete this side, and this will be our jet engine. So we can, let me first apply scale and rotation, then insert. I can push those in. We're making something very simple, And if we get our game mechanics running correctly, then we can come back and switch the model to a high detailed model, and a model that looks better than this. So I'll just select this, Control Shift B, bevel this, maybe increase the bevel resolution there, segments. Let me turn this into a circle like that. So this can come out as an arm, and maybe it will hold the missiles or something. So let me just do this. Just something simple to show where the ship is pointing, where the ship is facing onward. Let's select this and merge that to this, something like that. Maybe we can also, let me see if I can add a few things here. I think this can pass as a ship. Yeah, if we want to shoot any projectiles, we can use these as our guns, and I think that should do. If you want to UV this, you can UV unwrap it, but let me see. Let me just make some quick UVs. Make sure to apply scale and rotation, and then smart UV projection. So if we go into our UVs, we have those UVs. So we can come into what? We can come in and add a base color to these. So let's go to shading here so that we see what. So we can give it a base color like that, and add another material. Maybe give this a darker blue like that, and apply this to some parts of the mesh. So we have some variation, and maybe we can also create another material. Select, maybe just select this part, assign that. We can give this a white material. So this would just be like our glasses. Sorry, our glass. So we can bake some texture. We can bake this into a single material, maybe, but maybe I don't know. Maybe that's too much. I need to add some ambient occlusion and everything to make this look better, but I think that's too much. Let's just go and export this into Unreal. So I'll just export this as FBX. Make sure a selected object is what is selected. I'll create a new folder. I'll call this game project. Call this jet. Call this flying jet. Export. Now we can go to Unreal Engine. Make sure I go to the new project. You have two options here. So leave these as they are, desktop, because we're developing for desktop, and then maximum quality. Then for the content here, you can choose to start with starter content, but because I want to make this to have a blank workspace, so that you can also know how to begin a blank project, I'm just going to leave this with no starter content, because I'm trying to make a very basic program. Also up here, if you're going to code and you know how to use C++, you can select this, but because we want to avoid coding here, we're just going to go to blueprints. So I do have some programming background, but it's not in C++, it's in Python. So I won't go for C++. I'll just go for blueprint, and then select a blank project there, then call it whatever you want. I'll call this jets fight, and create. Make sure this is loading. I didn't open up multiple projects. Okay, so let's give this a moment as it loads, and let's see how that works. I'm thinking maybe I should bake the ambient occlusion here. Yeah, as this loads. So I'll just go under shading. I don't really have to change anything here. You just need to add a texture, image texture. I'll call this AO for ambient occlusion. Click OK. I'll make sure that the image is selected, and then go to the render settings, change these to cycles, and then under bake you can select the bake type to ambient occlusion. And for the margin, this, if you look at the UVs, the margin the distance between these UV islands. If you set the margin to be too high, the texture will bake and bleed through these islands. So let me show you what I mean. I'll just reduce the render samples here, just to show you what I mean. So if I bake, make sure that you can see how this this baked texture is bleeding through this island. But if I reduce the pixels here, the margin pixels, maybe to 3. And the reason why it's only baking to only a few parts here is because under shading we only have one material that has this texture. So we can copy this and paste it on all the other materials that we are going to bake onto, and then go to shading. Okay, sorry, we need to go back to this, maybe UV, so that we can preview this. Go to render settings, shadings, and settings, and then bake again. Now you can see that we are baking on everything, and the textures are not bleeding through other textures. Also, we can select everything and then pack islands, and under these settings here, let's do this again. UV pack islands. Under the pack island settings, increase the margin so that you give some space between these textures, so that if there is any bleeding, it doesn't go over the islands. So let's put this at maybe 1 like this, and bake again. Maybe I can increase the render settings to about 10, the samples to about 10, so that it's not too noisy. The ambient occlusion is not too noisy. I think this is good enough, so I can save as. Again, I can put this in here. I'll leave it as that, and then save. So this has started. Unreal Engine has opened up, and to navigate through your project, you just hold on Alt R to rotate, open around your view. You can also hold down your middle mouse button. I think this is called panning, and this is just orbiting around your 3D scene. Yeah, so those are some of the basic keys to use. So let's see how to import in our object, our mesh. So you can hit import here, and then find your mesh. I don't remember where I put this. I think it was in documents. Yes, so this, and import everything. So it will also import the materials that we added in. As you can see, they just need to load for a second there, and they should be applied to the object. Well, I think because we baked the ambient occlusion and also redid the UVs, I need to export these so that the mesh is updated as well. I can see the materials have already loaded in, but we need to re-import these by selecting the mesh and then re-import. Sorry, what am I opening? Right click, re-import, and that should re-import the mesh. So we just need now to apply the ambient occlusion, and for that you can just select the material you have, double click on it to open up the material editor. I'll expand this, and we have, so this color is the same as what you're seeing here. So this is how you apply a color. You use a vector parameter here to apply a base color like that, and you can edit it like that. But what we want, we need a texture that we just used here. So let me see if I can get it. Documents, it's called game project. Just drag directly there, have it there, and I can also just drag into the material editor to have it there like that. And now to mix the two, you can use, I think it's called a linear, is it a lamp? Now you can just use a blend multiply, because we want to multiply the ambient occlusion over the color. So if you type in blend, it will give you all the blending modes available, but you might see that the multiply is not there. We have overlay, we have other blending modes, exactly the same that we have in Blender, but we don't have the multiply. So let's just type in multiply, and you can see we have the multiply, but it's under math instead of blend. It still does the same thing, so we can just select that. Then this will be our A, and then this will be B, and then we can preview this as our base color. So we just need to give it a second. To compile and update our material. And you can see how the ambient occlusion is coming through. That is exactly what we want. So if we double click on this, you can see it's coming through in those areas where we have the blue. So if you want this to be applied on the other areas, you would just copy the same thing and do the same setup like we have there. So let me see if I can copy directly. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, perfect. So we just need to switch this out with this here, drag this in, and then connect this. So again, we need to do this for this here, for this other material. So let's give it a moment to save, and then we can apply the same settings to this material here. So paste, and then switch out this parameter here, and we are good to go. Okay, so let's close the material. That's going to be enough for our materials. So to bring this into your work area or your 3D scene, you can just drag it directly into your scene like that, and you can see that we have the ambient occlusion applied and everything. But the problem with doing this is that you're not going to easily control this using the blueprints. So instead, let's delete that. And if you're not sure what blueprints are, it's just basically a way to set up your Unreal tool. It's just a way to set up a template that can help you control the different elements you have in your scene. So if you right click, you have the option to create a new blueprint. I'll make a full tutorial on how to do this, but just wanted to make a quick introduction to how you can do a very quick simple test maybe of Unreal. So just right click and then create a blueprint. So there are different types of classes. So a blueprint is just a template of different classes. So there are different templates here. There is an actor, which is just any element in your scene that can interact with the main character. And you have the pawn, which is the character that you're going to control. And then character is just a more advanced pawn. So let's select a pawn, and I'll just call this BP player. And double click on this. to open up the blueprint. I'm not going to explain every step. This is just giving you, if you have a good a basic understanding of how Unreal works, this is going to be very useful. If you're not very familiar with Unreal Engine, this can give you just an inspiration to see what you can do and how easily you can achieve what you want in Unreal without writing any code or anything. Because I'm not going to write any code here. I'm not very familiar with C++. I only have background in Python, which are two different programming languages. So yeah, so we are in the blueprint menu here, window here. So let's we need to have access to this jet so that we can easily control it here. So for that, let me just undock this, maybe expand it a bit. So you can just drag this and drop it directly into these components. So this component area here is just a collection of all elements you have within that blueprint, and this would mean that you can control those elements using the code you have in that blueprint template. So one problem we are seeing here is that this spaceship is facing this direction, but our x-axis is facing the other direction, and Unreal uses this x-axis as the forward direction. So we need to go back to Blender and change this so that our mesh is facing the right direction. So I'll rotate this 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees, so that is facing the x-axis, so that we have this as the x-axis in Unreal. So I'll export this again, FBX, and re-import it. Right click, re-import. Make sure you're selecting the actual mesh, not the blueprint. So re-import, and the way you tell the difference is that the blueprint will have that blue highlight, and this will have that kind of teal highlight, and also you see the class you have selected for set for that blueprint. So we set upon class, and that is indicated by that pawn icon that you see there, which is not on the mesh itself. So you can see that we have updated our mesh, and so let's see how we can easily control this. We're just going to do a very quick easy forward movement for this, and yeah, so freezing. Okay, maybe we'll do that in the next tutorial, because I think I've covered quite a lot here. I don't want to overwhelm you if you are new to this. So thank you.